kicking, never quitting. Focus sharp like a blade that's hitting. From white belt dreams to the master flow, Paul Coffey's got the mic, now the stories grow. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise, it's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Old school, new school, all styles blend. From the mat to the mic, where the arts ascend. Philosophy deep, but the vibe stays tight. Martial minds meeting in the podcast light. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise, it's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise, it's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Keep Kicking, the martial arts podcast where I have martial conversations with my martial arts friends. Today, I sit down with Michael. Michael, would you like to introduce yourself to the people?
Yes. Hi, guys. My name is Michael Belzer. I'm 49 years old, martial artist from Moscow, Russia, which is very actual nowadays. Yes. No politics today. No politics.
No politics.
Anyway, I have quite an experience in martial arts. I started in 1988 as a high schooler doing Kyokushin karate. And this is a story I'll tell later, probably, because it was in times when there was a Soviet Union and the karate was prohibited, because most of the things active were prohibited in the Soviet Union. Probably most of you don't know that, but I'm old enough to know. I hold a shodan in Japanese traditional Jiu-Jitsu, and currently I got back to Kyokushin with Kyokushin World Federation. This Saturday I'm having my exam, so wish me luck.
Ooh, good luck. Good luck indeed. Well, the first question I usually ask everybody is how you got started in martial arts. So let's dive right into the illegal martial arts practitioner that you were.
Yeah. So, so it was way back. As I mentioned, most of the things in the Soviet Union which were connected with some form of aggression or defense against the aggression were not allowed for the common people. They were basically allowed to the special forces, to the KGB guys, and all, all the organizations which are, around those organizations. But they were like they were bootlegs in the United States. So they were underground karate clubs in the Soviet Union. They were literally underground because it was like a basement level, no windows, no nothing. A very bad, no air conditioning apparently, because there weren't any air conditioning in the 80s, at least in the Soviet Union. Probably in US everything was perfect. No politics.
No politics. Still perfect over here. No politics.
Still perfect. Yeah. So one guy came to our school and said, "Hey, I can teach your kids karate. Show me the guys who want to do it." And so there was a group of I think 10 of my comrades, and We didn't know it was Kyokushin. For us, it was just a regular, karate. We were doing a lot of physical stuff, Kihon. At that time, it wasn't Kihon. It was just, things you do, you hit, you block.
Mm-hmm.
And then we tried to break things as well. Like now it's part of Kyokushin. And at that time, it was just, okay, who is brave enough, who is strong enough to break a brick or to break a board or something like this. And then I think a year past that moment, we found out that it was indeed Kyokushin, because I think in years' time, it became the only official style of karate in the Soviet Union. But we started as an illegal karate underground club.
So you started in a fight club in the basement.
Kinda.
No, I like that. Okay, so usually at this point in time, I ask what has kept you going all this time. But first, I want to touch base on Kyokushin became the official karate of
Yes.
like it went from being illegal to study to being the only thing that the government said you could study. Is that what?
Yes, that is true. There were some guys coming from Japan.
Yeah.
I doubt it. I think it wasn't Masuyama, but they were his students.
Mm-hmm.
And they officially started the Kyokushin Karate Association of Russia at that time. Yes.
Interesting. What year was that? That's wild.
It's either 89 or 90, something like
Okay.
that.
Okay. Somewhere around there. What's wild to me about that is that wasn't that long ago, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it wasn't that
history-wise,
long.
it's a blink of the eye.
Yeah, right? That wasn't that long ago. That's wild. That's wild to me. So what has kept you going in martial arts?
Well, first of all, I always done a lot of sports.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't only martial arts. It was weightlifting, it was swimming, it was basketball, you name it. Tennis, because I noticed that it really helps with other things in life. It keeps you organized. It keeps you dedicated, goal achievements and all that, overcoming difficulties. And especially in martial arts, so it hurts when people beat you up. It's not like bullshido where nowadays on the internet, when people don't touch other people and then the rest is falling down on the ground. It wasn't like a real karate, full kicks and not allowed to kick to punch in the face, but the kicks in the face, yes. Mawashigiri Jodan, I still feel it, I think. So overcoming the pain, keep going, and this is the main thing. And also the philosophy, Zen Buddhism. At that time, I found out that there are different religions in the world. And Zen is part of the Eastern religion, apparently, and this is part of the martial arts. And the patience, you have to keep your head low sometimes, yes, but keep going. And this is all part of that. Meditation, I've done a lot of meditation. It really helps as well. To find things up, to overcome certain life difficulties. Yeah, I think this is the main thing.
Okay. Are you a Zen Buddhist?
No.
No. Okay, fair. I am. So I thought that was interesting.
I studied a lot. I started with Koreans. I started with my Japanese friends.
Mm-hmm.
The 90s. I have still have the books, and I respect that religion very much.
Appreciate that. So how long have you taught?
Have I taught?
Yes.
I need to say that there was a time when I didn't practice actively.
Okay.
I think up until 1996,
Mm-hmm.
when I started learning Japanese traditional Jiu-Jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
And why that? So because I thought this is probably the most practical streetwise martial art. Yes, because not to mix up with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which is now called just Jiu-Jitsu because of the great marketing. And
Right.
we all know that the Gracie family, they've done enormous efforts of popularizing BJJ. And I respect that. But let's not forget the roots. The JJJ was the original martial art, I think 2,000 years old, which had punches, throws, strangulations, vital points, and all that. Throws, so judo, karate, do, sumo, aikido, they all originated from this martial art originally, which was interesting for me to learn.
Hmm.
In the Netherlands with Judo Bond Netherlands with the association, and I started doing once a week in the city where I lived
Hmm.
for an hour and a half, and then I loved it so much that I continued the same day with another group, which was a total of 3 hours, and then I traveled to another city where my sensei practiced additional twice a week, so it was 3 times a week, and I had to travel like an hour with the bus to get to another city, and then I walked from the bus station to the dojo like 20 minutes, and it
Mm.
doesn't matter which weather it was. So I was that much committed and dedicated for that. And I continued on, and then I got back, and then there was, some German guys coming, Peter Nils, he's now dead. He's a very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. I think he was seventh or eighth dan, very much streetwise application. He taught police and special forces in Germany. And then there was Richard Morris, also Shihan from the UK. I went to his seminars. He is also a very nice guy. And then special forces, Russian special forces. I also was taught by the fifth dan traditional jiu-jitsu guy who trained, FSB guys and all that guys, and which allowed me to rather quickly come to the Shodan. And then at that time, I thought, well, my first sensei, Dutch sensei, said, "Well, Michael, why don't you, start teaching?" And I said, "Okay, well, it's a good idea. I like it. I think I can do it. I know how to do it." I know I'm answering your question very,
No, take
it's a
your time.
long answer.
We like long answers.
It's a long answer, yes, but that's how I came to being a part-time teacher.
Hmm. And what has teaching done to help your martial arts practitioner? Your to help the technique.
Yes, this is a very good question. A very good question. It's like in karate, we have bunkai.
Hmm.
For those who don't know, bunkai, it's the way how to interpret kata.
Hmm.
Kata apparently has a practical application. And the thing is, there is no one ideal interpretation of kata. Everyone has its own interpretation, but still there is bunkai. And the teaching and having my students also allowed me to understand the techniques better, which works with tall guys, which doesn't work with tall guys. Because in jiu-jitsu, in Japanese jiu-jitsu, probably in BJJ as well, I don't know BJJ, there is always a flow. There is like a one technique. If it doesn't go, you go another technique. If
Hmm.
you go, there is other techniques. So there is it's like a wave.
Hmm.
And you should understand how to explain it to your students so they understand where to put the hand, because it's all, hands, legs, throws. You have to keep your balance. You have to know where to pull. If you go do kotiineri, if you do it wrongly, the opponent, just goes away, and then you have to do another technique, but you are teaching kotiineri. So you have to explain all that, and there are a lot of angles and a lot of movements and own body, understanding of your own body as well.
Hmm.
So that's allowed me to understand my own body and to understand the techniques better. Yes, because you have to not only know but to explain,
Hmm.
and it is even harder than know.
Fair enough. Absolutely. Is there, do you teach part time? Do you teach full time? Is there any sort of barrier that gets in the way with the government that makes running a school or teaching difficult now?
Frankly, I'm not into not much into all those details,
Okay. Okay.
as I teach part time as a part of Kyokushin class.
Okay.
Like we select certain days where I can teach them JJJ, which is according to Kyokushin curricula is part of self-defense, part of curricular, because it's
Okay.
practical application.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, everyone is very much interested because it's something new. Even my sensei, they acting as my students
That's great.
that time. Yes. There are no regulations if, well, A, you don't get money for it.
Hmm.
and B, you have your official shodan, and which allows you basically to teach.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to get money, you have to get a license, of course, because government wants to get their taxes. But since I'm not getting any money, I'm doing for the sake of the love of this, martial art and
Mm-hmm.
sharing my experience, then it's okay.
Okay. That's interesting. Who gives the license out?
Apparently, there are certain authorities. I don't know. I
That's
think it's different from country to country.
that's fair. That's fair. Do you have any experience with Systema?
My sensei here in Russia,
Mm-hmm.
he knows Sistema, and he taught us some elements, so to
Mm-hmm.
say. But I must say they're all based on the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, basically. It's all, it's all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Base is the same.
For sure. Let's circle back to you said that you felt that Japanese Jiu-Jitsu was the best for practical application.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us why.
I thought you'll be asking whether I used it in real life.
Maybe. Yeah, the thing about martial arts is every day that we don't get in a fight, we use it. You know? So, and those
You're right.
stories aren't as fun, but that's the reality of it.
Yes, the best fight won is not the fight initiated or avoided. Yes, that's part of the philosophy. But answering your question, why? Because the main idea of fighting in JJJ is not to do a long fight.
Mm.
It basically it's not an attack; it's counterattack.
Mm-hmm.
It the hit to make the person uncomfortable, and then you either throw or lock or you break the arm or nose, eyes, behind the ears, depending on where they grab you. You don't go on the ground as BJJ on the street. It's
Mm-hmm.
just not practical.
Mm-hmm.
If the fight is unavoidable, you should finish as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And either run if you're alone, or if you're defending your children or close friends or family, then there are other ways. But the
Mm-hmm.
main idea is to finish it as fast as possible with the maybe non-orthodox ways, but
Mm-hmm.
this part is behind the discussion because there are always laws. You can break the hand with a guy just like that because you can go to prison.
Mm-hmm.
This is over, doing the self-defense, etc., etc. Let the lawyers talk about this. Once your life is in danger, then you just have to do what you have to do.
Right. But ideally, not being there is better.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah. So like I told you before we hit record, this podcast has a lot of different things about it. One of the things though is that I'm just kind of selfish as a martial artist. One of the reasons that I learned to teach and taught was so that I could learn how other people see the technique, because that informs me, that informs like what I'm doing, and it alters my technique fundamentally. So one of the reasons that I started this podcast was so that I could ask other martial artists how they're doing the things that I'm working on so that I can learn from you all passively.
Interesting.
So the big question that I'm asking most everybody right now starts with an omission. I recognize as a lifelong practitioner of martial arts that I am equal parts sadistic and masochistic. I also recognize that not everybody is like that. So the question is, how do you teach somebody that is non-violent to speak the language of violence when they need to?
That's a very good question. Again, you're a pro.
Thanks.
Well, first of all, rarely did I meet the people at martial art at the dojo that
Mhm.
were not aggressive. Yes, I mean, in a good way. Controlled, but when there is a necessity to be aggressive, they were aggressive.
Mhm.
So I know that sometimes people who are, like as we said in the '90s, nerds, they realize that they want to do something about it, and they either go lift weights or they go to do karate or whatever.
Mm.
and thinking that now I know how to do my, I don't know, yokogiri or maigiri. I know how to hit him in the eye. And now I'm, a wolf inside. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like
Mm-hmm.
if you're a rabbit, then you are a rabbit, right?
Right.
But this can also be used by selecting the martial art, which goes well with your character, so to say. Yes,
Mm.
because like take Aikido guys. I probably be not wrong if I say that most of the Aikido guys, they are not as aggressive as, say, Muay Thai guys or
Right.
Kyokushin guys, who are probably masochistic because, who loves when you get hit every practice.
Right.
So those guys, they probably choose other martial arts, right? Non-contact karate, Aikido, because in Jiu-Jitsu, it hurts because sensei sometimes grabs your arm and shows how to do kotegaeshi, but it hurts when you're falling, and the strangulations, you also have to be a bit masochistic, so to say. But if I see the person who is not as aggressive as to understand the technique or to do the technique, well, then I tell him or her that, okay, imagine that your life is a danger. Well, if you don't value your life, then imagine there is a life of your kid or your wife or your husband or whatever, boyfriend, girlfriend, your cat or whatever, you know, the bad guys took it and trying to rip the head off. What do? Imagine this. Yeah. It's like when you break a brick. I was taught that visualization is a big part of this process. Yes, you close
Mm.
your eyes, you meditate, you breathe, and you imagine that this brick is broken. Yes, you hit it and you broke it,
Mm-hmm.
or the board, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Same here. You close your eyes, you imagine the situation, you submerge into this feeling of, you know, devastation, or how do you say it in English? And sometimes it works. Most of the times it doesn't. On the first, case, but once they train it, uh,
Mm-hmm.
they're better at it.
That's a great answer. I love that. I love the answer. Great answer. You're a pro too. Yeah. What?
What
There's a lot. Go
What are
ahead.
other answers? Can we exchange ideas? Can you tell me what other guys think about it?
What are other answers? Okay, a lot of people have given the second part of your answer where you have to give somebody a thing to fight for. A lot of people have said that. Something that I thought was really interesting, another traditional karate practitioner who he spends time every year or every other year in Okinawa. He said the first thing that he does is he gives his students permission to hurt somebody else. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Like, just look at him and say, I give you permission to hurt somebody that's trying to hurt you. And that might be powerful. That might be value add. When I don't teach self-defense seminars, I feel it, for me personally, it's very disingenuous to teach a 4-hour class and be like, okay, you're good to go now. 4 hours, you got everything that you need. And so when I teach self-defense, like if I'm not teaching martial arts and we're just teaching self-defense, it is very, I call it a clinic and it's a class. So it lasts for as long as that it lasts. The idea is people come to get that information. But when I teach that, usually one of the things that I do is have my advanced students come in. And while the people that are in the clinic are working technique,
Mm-hmm.
my advanced students are working what techniques work to intervene in a crisis.
Oh, right.
So now they're not working on self-defense. They're black belts. They've kind of got the self-defense, at least on a basic level. So they're working on, how do I manipulate one body off of another body as there's an entanglement or there's an attack. What I have noticed this does is it shows those people that are taking self-defense, it shows them that there are people that are willing to fight for them, even if it's not very many people. And I express that, look, my guy's here now, but he might not be at the bar where you're having the problem. right? So there's that. In America, especially, I don't know how it's worded in other countries, but in America, they call it soft skills. And I don't like that term for a very specific reason. But if you teach people de escalation techniques, you know, like I was at a seminar at the beginning of this month, and this woman, she was teaching some self-defense stuff to other martial artists. And one of the things she said is her favorite de-escalation technique is to teach people to go, ew, what is that on the ground? And then when the other person looks down, you could run away. That's good, right? You know,
Right.
ew is all it takes. What? So I call those intervention techniques. You know, my instructor said she can teach you one technique that will guarantee that you win 100% of every bar fight. And the one technique is don't go to the bars, right? You win if you're not there.
You're
But
right.
like,
Yeah.
but like on a philosophical level,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't go looking for the fight usually doesn't present itself. So, like all of the intervention techniques, teaching people not to be in their phones, teaching people to look around and be aware, you're less likely to be a victim if you're aware. You know, just stuff like that. It's odd because there is a collection, and the genesis of the question really comes from this, and you'll identify with this part. You're in a dojo, you're in a class, and you have friends, people that you know in the class, and maybe we're in a class together. And you know, me and Michael, we're really good friends. Now we bow and we're about to spar. Michael's no longer in front of me. Now it's just a body. It's just a body for me to do my technique. It's just you're just an object at that point. And those non-violent people have a real big problem dehumanizing somebody in that capacity, because a lot of them were victims and have been dehumanized. So they know what that feels like. They don't want to do it. So that's where the genesis came from. I I'm not sure that there's a 100% correct answer. I don't know. I don't know if there's a 100% correct answer to this, but it is worth the conversation, and it is worth me asking other like-minded martial artists in a way that we can source it out and maybe get to a better understanding.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Thanks for sharing.
Of course. So the next question ties into what we just talked about, and it also ties into the systema question. But is there any yielding techniques that are taught within Japanese Jiu-Jitsu?
Yielding, I think my English is limited.
Okay.
Not limited, but
No,
yes. Can you use another word?
your English is really good, actually. Like, you speak, I don't know if you ever lived somewhere where you had to speak only English, but it
I
sounds
did.
like it.
The United States. Yes.
You lived in the United States. Where did you live in the United States?
In northern Michigan. I was an exchange student at the beginning of the 90s, and this is a whole different story
Well,
because
that
I
sounds fun.
left 9 days past the crisis. I flew to the Michigan, and then I think in a couple of months they were no longer the Soviet Union. And then I came back. There was another country.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good.
So yielding. What is
Yeah,
yielding?
yielding. In kung fu or in other martial arts, I'm scooting this back so that you can see. It's the difference in, like, if I do a hard block this way, I've not yielded with the energy that's come in. I've just kind of hit it. A yielding would be like redirecting the energy or energy.
Okay. Yes, sure. As I mentioned, thank you. Now I
You mentioned the flow of it.
Yes, I mentioned the flow, and I also mentioned that Aikido originated from Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. So we do have all those techniques which Aikido uses, using the energy of the opponent against the opponent. So, and in Sistema, as I mentioned, my last sensei was also teaching the special forces guys all those elements. His own system of redirecting was also based on the energy and potential energy, so to say, in the body. Like you hit once, and then in boxing you don't go away, or in karate you don't go away. Here you like hit once, and then you hit once in 2 seconds time, and the person is pulling back and then forward, and then the second time it just gets the another, two kicks. And also when you doing the kozushi, the moving the person out of balance, it's also a lot of using all those yielding, as you mentioned, techniques. So generally everything which you have now in modern martial arts, they are all in Japanese Jiu-Jitsu.
For sure. The traditional stuff is where we've gotten everything from. Sent.
I know that I'm on, as we met on the forum,
Right.
and I also read other forums, and the people say that JJJ mostly is bullshit-o in the United States, because there are a lot of BJJ, good schools. Japanese, there are a lot of bullshit-o schools, and that's why the image of the Japanese traditional jiu-jitsu in the States are not as good as as Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Whereas in Europe, for example, in the Netherlands, where I started, in Germany and in the UK, it's probably one of the most popular martial arts.
Interesting.
It's well taught. It's
Okay.
a good background. Most of the senseis, they have a background in judo. They are all black belts in judo or aikido, and so it's all aikijutsu. It's all there. There are competitions. It's not only kata, it's also like real fighting. Right?
Kumite.
Kumite, according to certain rules. You start punching and kicking, and then if somebody grabs you, you can't kick or punch anymore. You try to wrestle, and then you're on the ground. You once again don't kick or hit. You are trying to do the strangulations, or you do the lock techniques. So it's something like this. It's called fighting. Yeah, and there are competitions with fighting system, and there are also dual system. Dual system, it's the traditional kata, when there are persons and they are showing the prescribed techniques according to certain attacks. You are being judged and all that. Yeah.
So one of the things that's interesting is what you're talking about with the history, and the reason Japanese Jiu-Jitsu probably is not more popular or more supported in the United States is because Japanese Jiu-Jitsu came to be around the same time as boxing was booming. So in America, when boxing was booming, 20s, 30s, 40s, nobody did anything other than boxing. Like there were people probably that were doing fencing. There were people that were probably studying just traditional basic karate, but boxing was the rule of the land. Boxing that traditional karate got broken up. I don't know if you know that or not, but
No, I didn't.
prior to that, if you learned karate, Aikido was part of karate. Judo was part of karate. Japanese Jiu-Jitsu was all part of karate. It was all one system. And to my understanding, the only place that it's still taught that way is in Okinawa. But circle back to the question, because you gave me a good, interesting perspective when I talked about yielding. Something that I've been doing martial arts for 32 years, and I used to say one phrase, but I've changed it recently, that the reason I'm such a good instructor is because I'm one of the best damn students you can have in class, And what I mean by that is, like, I have found that I'm not the guy that goes, okay, let's do it. Shut up and stop talking. Let's do it. I am the guy that's like, but why? Why are we doing it that way? And like, I'm the guy that everybody in class hates because 10 more minutes of 10 more minutes of talking. Let's get to practicing. It's like, I can practice outside of here. I can't ask these questions outside. But
I'm with you on that completely.
Right. Well, great. So you're talking about even like using hand positioning to mimic the body. And until that moment when you're saying that, I never put two and two together about part of what I need to be teaching. So the idea is I'm trying to boil down yielding or deflection whatever, to whatever word you want to use. I'm trying to boil it down as far down as I can, so that when I'm teaching nonviolent people, or I'm teaching people how to defend themselves, I can teach that to them in the sort of quickest way possible. Because somebody that studies martial arts for a lifetime, I have a lifetime. I have 30 years to sculpt that person. But somebody that's there for self-defense or self-preservation, I may only have them for 6 months. And in 6 months, I can't even guarantee that I'm giving them a lot. So what I want to try and do is everything that I give them be as rich as possible. But I like this idea that what you're almost doing is, like in boxing, they say control the ring or control the space. In various arts, it's very Japanese of you, because the first time that I was ever introduced to the concept was in a Aido class, you know, and the instructor said to me in Aido, he goes, half of your cuts are not meant to ever land. They're just opening your opponent up for the cut that will land.
Exactly.
Blows my mind. Blows my mind. But I've never even thought about, like, teaching those people to do. You know what I used to do? I'm gonna give myself some room and show you real quick. So when I was doing tournament sparring and stuff, I would do this, and I would get ready. And as soon as ref says go, we go, and I'm just
Uh-huh.
snapping my fingers off to the side, and the guy will look every
That's it.
time.
And bam.
Yeah. So maybe I need to get back to teaching the snap.
But my Kyokushin sensei showed me a couple of tricks with that
Okay.
as well. It's like you're not allowed to punch in the face with your
Mm-hmm.
fist or anything. Only with your legs you can
Mm-hmm.
kick. But you are allowed to show the punches. But the
Mm.
person doesn't expect it, because their hands are not usually here. They're
Mm-hmm.
usually here, because you are preventing the kicks from your liver or
Mm-hmm.
your solar plexus, because a lot of stuff in Kyokushin, they go on your body,
Mm-hmm.
but you're barely covering your head. So
Mm-hmm.
you are saying like this, and you go like this, and then they put their hands up, and then the whole body is open.
And then
Right.
I bet that hurts. Ribs are the worst martial arts injury.
But
No, that's not
with
true.
the snapping, I'll think I'll use it. Yeah. Thank
Right,
you.
right. The ribs are the second worst martial arts injury I ever had. One time I had my retina scratched.
Sorry to hear that.
No, it's okay. It's good. We're good. Okay. So, what do you think the average martial arts practitioner neglects in their practice?
Neglect.
Mm-hmm.
I think the average practitioner neglects to make a practice a habit
Mm.
or the way of life. Because an average practitioner, he practice only in the dojo, but not
Mm-hmm.
home. And they're not practicing here. It's the
Yes.
most important practice in your head. You have to visualize a lot of, especially in kata, or you should visualize how you feel when you hit. You should
Mm-hmm.
visualize how you position your body. It's not only shadow boxing. It's the mind games, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of the philosophical question. It's a
Mm-hmm.
great question you asked.
No, that's
Um,
good. I like
in
that.
my mind, it's the average person. They just
Mm-hmm.
go like swimming or to the gym.
Mm.
But arts, it's more than gym.
That's my answer. That's what I think the average martial artist practitioner neglects. That, or not asking the questions that they want to ask or that come to them. Those are the two things. Here's another big one. If you could give every martial arts practitioner in the world one thing, whether it be technique, philosophy, concept, attitude, mindset, what would it be?
I can tell you from Zen Buddhism. It's like a doctor. Do not bring harm, probably.
Mm.
Coming back to the, avoid the fights, try to reason, try to use your, uh, fight avoiding techniques rather than your
Mm-hmm.
physical application techniques.
Mm-hmm.
because we never know what's going on in the person's mind. Most of the people who are aggressive, they are deeply hurt inside.
Mm-hmm.
They're great, psychopaths.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they need that. They're deeply hurt inside, and I mean, I'm not saying that I should, be a shrink to this person, but sometimes it's great to put ones in their own shoes and try to understand why is he aggressive or not. If it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work, then okay, then do what you do. But first, try to avoid.
Do what you do.
Do what you gotta do.
That's right. Go to work. No, that's good. I had a
What do
friend
you
of
think?
mine. What do I think?
Yeah, about that.
I
What
think
would
that
you do?
I think that's a great answer of like give everybody the ability to not be hard headed. My answer is a little bit more philosophical. You know, my journey within the martial arts is very tumultuous, and that is because I was a kid that was abused. And so I got into martial arts out of necessity. I was in martial arts for a year and stood up to my abuser. He then went on to continue to abuse me verbally, but no longer physically. And I actually took care of him the month prior to him committing suicide. All this is it's all fine. It's all fine. Everybody else is like, oh, that's such a, dark subject. I say it all very lighthearted. And I'm just saying that to say that like God started in martial arts out of a necessity.
Hmm.
Then the necessity was met, and then there was a new necessity. And that new necessity was that I needed to heal the scars that were created from my trauma. So then we got that far to where I wasn't necessarily healed, but I was mended. And from that point, it was like, oh, but now I can help other people not be in that same situation.
Hmm.
Rinse and repeat. And so, and somewhere along the lines, see, I give long answers too. Somewhere along the lines, I was told this story, whether it be true or not. Balloons, great. I was told this story, whether it be true or not, about the perfect kung fu fight. The perfect kung fu fight is two gentlemen who are fighting, and each person has an answer for every technique thrown at them.
Hmm.
And at the end, they bow to each other. They say something along the lines of same school, and then they go work out together. And the idea of two guys that hated each other and were at each other's throats through a perfect exchange, neither of them were hurt, and they also gained respect for each other. So I think that if I can give anything to every martial arts practitioner, it's that you can learn from everybody. If I had somebody ask me how much vetting I do with my guests.
Hmm.
And the answer is very little. One, because I don't have enough time to do that, but two, because we just have these conversations. And the same, like, if I have somebody on that somebody feels is bullshito or whatever, that's fine. That's fine. I can still sit down. I can have a conversation with that person. And the same way that a brand new white belt that's never studied a day of martial arts in their entire life can come through the school doors and you learn from that person, I can also learn from this person that you're saying is bullshit. And I think that on a fundamental level, the the bad part about martial arts is martial arts masters, because I've been doing martial arts for 32 years, and I still have a student mentality. And I think that if you keep that student mentality, you keep that alive, you're good. If you and I'm not this is not me talking smack about anybody that is a master or wants that title. If you've earned that title, I'm happy to give it to you. I'm happy to call you master. But if you're master and that means that you done learning, still water becomes stagnant and mosquitoes grow, you know? That's what happens with water that doesn't continue to flow.
Ride doesn't have a goal; it has a path. Yes.
That is right. No goal, just a path. Continue
Yes.
moving. Continue moving. Okay.
Well,
Good. So there's the other there's the answer. People aren't supposed to ask me questions on this podcast. This is about
I
you
don't know
all.
the rules. It's a conversation, as you mentioned.
It is
And
a conversation.
there are, at least two.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Well, and I have always tried to live my life as close as I could to the Hakakura quote of your belly should always be 1/3 full of drink, 1/3 full of food, and 1/3 full of conversation. So
So
no, I think if you lead that way, we are in a better spot. Okay. So I try and keep these at about an hour. Is there something that you didn't get to say that you'd like to say? Something I didn't ask?
no, I think our long answers, complement each other, and that's why,
Absolutely.
as I mentioned, I also keen to learn. That's why I'm
Mhm.
asking questions, and it's a great conversation, Paul. Thank you for
No,
inviting me.
thank you for coming on. I thank all of my people that sit down with me and have these conversations, just first of all for taking the time and having this conversation, but also now because you've had this conversation, Michael, you're now a part of my martial arts journey, whether you like it or not, and I thank you for that. I want to thank everybody that listened to this podcast, and as always, keep kicking.